Jalen Duren is the most physically impressive big man.
He's a super athlete. The body is incredible. He's a real rim protector, not like Chet Holmgren or Walker Kessler or Mark Williams.
If you really want to understand who Jalen Duren is, don't start with box scores or stat sheets. Start with the feeling he gives off when he shows up on your screen. That low, uncomfortable pressure that builds possession by possession, like something bad is coming and you can't stop it. On the surface, it all looks basic. A screen, a roll, a rebound, a dunk, clean hoops, nothing fancy. But if you're the team on the other side, it doesn't feel basic at all. It feels like a non-stop tax. Every drive into the paint costs you something. Your legs get heavier, your lungs burn, your confidence slips just a little more each time.
We are a great team that's on the rise. Obviously a young team, got a lot to prove. I kind of just showed the league that, yeah, I'm here, got a lot to prove, and still a long way to go. Me, myself, I wanted to kind of take my next step, take another leap in my career, another leap in my development, and kind of just show the league that, yeah, I'm here.
Cade Cunningham walks the ball up, calm, in control, like he's seen this movie before. The defense points, switches, talks itself into believing it's ready. For half a second, everything looks fine. Then Duren sets that screen. Solid, mean, perfectly timed. And suddenly the floor tilts. He's already rolling before defenders can even react, moving downhill with force that doesn't ask permission. Now everyone hesitates. Help, and you give up a clean look to a shooter. Stay home, and you're meeting Duren at the rim with bad timing and worse odds. That split-second doubt is all he needs, because once he has a step, it's already over. Here's the part that really breaks teams, though. You can do everything right and still lose. You fight over the screen, you blow up the pass, you contest the shot, chest square, arms up, textbook defense, and then the ball hits the rim and Duren is already inside your space like it belongs to him. He doesn't jump like a normal big. He rises like a decision you can't undo. He bodies you under the glass, snatches the rebound, and turns your proudest defensive stand into 2 points that feel straight up unfair. Not because of calls, not because of luck, but because it feels inevitable. That's who he's becoming in Detroit. Not just a bouncy young center chasing highlights, but a guy who turns the paint into a trap. Miss a rotation, it's a dunk. Miss a shot, it's his board. Every mistake gets punished immediately, no mercy. Every game against him feels like a physical debt you never agreed to owe. That's what makes it dangerous for the league. This isn't some aging vet leaning on experience for one last run. This is a 22-year-old still building his identity, learning how to dominate without ever needing to talk. Detroit's been the punchline for way too long, but what Duren is doing feels like a reminder of what real foundation basketball looks like. Hard screens, violent rebounds, possessions that wear you down until you're begging for the clock to move faster. You can't ignore it when it keeps happening over and over. Screen after screen causing panic. Rolls that rip defenses apart. Rebounds that crush morale. Finishes that land like exclamation points on your mistakes. And if the Pistons are climbing out of the shadows, if they're finally becoming something real, this is a big reason why. Jalen Duren isn't a side character. He's the part of the story that makes playing Detroit straight up miserable. The wild thing about young centers in today's NBA is how fast the league tries to box them in, like it's paperwork, not development. If you're not bombing threes, breaking ankles, or running offense like a guard in a big body, people rush to call you limited. That's exactly what they tried to do with Duren. Rim runner, dunker, energy guy, the type who cleans up messes but never drives the plot. A background role in somebody else's movie. And for a minute, it almost stuck, because Detroit was chaos. Lineups changing, losses piling up, noise everywhere, direction nowhere. Even when Duren did his job, it disappeared into the mess like it didn't matter. But this season flipped the whole script. That energy guy label isn't an evaluation anymore. It's a warning. Because now the impact shows up every possession, every rebound, every hard screen that makes defenses flinch.
People probably see me and probably think, oh, he's just some big, strong guy, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to keep my body where I want it to be in terms of weight, strength, athleticism, flexibility, and all those things. I think I'm in great shape, probably the best shape of my career.
Jalen Duren isn't loud. He doesn't need to be. His game does all the talking. And if you're guarding the paint, you hear it loud and clear. It's a mistake to think Jalen Duren just leveled up. That undersells it completely. What actually happened is more uncomfortable for the league. He started producing at a rate that forces attention, whether you like his style or not. 17.8 points, 10.8 rebounds, nearly 63% from the field. That's not hustle stats. That's evolution. You don't fake efficiency like that over real minutes against real bodies. Those numbers belong to someone who knows exactly where to be and why, not just a guy jumping for lobs and hoping it works out. What really shifts the conversation, though, is how steady it all feels. This isn't random explosion basketball. It doesn't come and go. It repeats, night after night, like a rhythm teams can't disrupt. One game, it's quiet damage, bone-rattling screens, smart seals, easy buckets that don't even register live. You check the box score later and realize he's sitting on another double-double like it's routine. The next night, it's loud. A performance so physical the broadcast can't stop talking about him. Same player, same pressure. Look at that win over the New Orleans Pelicans. 20 points, 15 boards. Detroit in control from start to finish, with Duren setting the tone by just being stronger than everyone in the building. And that wasn't a one-off. It kept happening. Even Detroit's own reports stopped hedging. The talk quietly shifted from he's playing well to this is who he is now. What makes it hit harder is when he's doing this. He's still figuring himself out, still learning how far his body can go, still adjusting to a grind that eats most young bigs alive. He pushed through an ankle issue this month that had people wondering how much time he'd miss. Reevaluations were mentioned. Caution was expected. And then he came back doing the same damage, same force, same presence, still owning the glass like nothing changed. For a player who lives in contact, that matters a lot. Because now teams aren't just asking what he can do. They're asking how long he can keep doing it. And that's where the old labels fall apart. When Duren is on the floor, the paint changes shape. It shrinks for opponents and stretches for Detroit. Every possession turns into a bad choice. Commit to stopping Cade and watch Duren sprint free to the rim. Tag the roll and leave shooters breathing easy. Either way, you give something up. That's not an energy guy issue. That's a system problem. That's the kind of player you build around. Simple, physical, reliable, no tricks, no disappearing acts. Teams throw different coverages at him and the result stays the same. He keeps showing up. His story never started with hype. It started with a warning most people ignored because the league loves noise. Back in college at Memphis Tigers, he wasn't pretending to be something trendy. No drifting to corners, no avoiding contact. He stayed in the paint and made it miserable. Old school work in a modern body. Rebounds sucked out of the air. The rim protected like it was personal property. Finishes through contact that made grown men uncomfortable for entire halves. Memphis only got 1 year of it, but that was enough. 12 points, 8 boards, 2+ blocks a night, freshman of the year, and then he left. Not loudly, just confidently. Draft night didn't hand him a clean path, though. Taken 13th overall in 2022, his rights bounced around like paperwork before landing in Detroit. No spotlight, no perfect fit, just chaos. And somehow that fit him perfectly. The Pistons weren't drafting a spacing experiment. They weren't chasing trends. They drafted proof that toughness still matters. A teenager built like a statement. A center who could sprint, bang, rebound, and make the game feel heavy again. What's wild is how young he was while doing all of this. Most bigs need years just to understand timing, positioning, how to battle without fouling, how not to get played off the floor. Duren skipped the waiting period. Even now, he's still only 22. At some point this season, he stopped looking like a project. He started looking like a problem. Not he's improving, but he's shaping the team. The stats tell part of it. 17.8, 10.8, 62.7%. But the real meaning is bigger. He makes the game easier for teammates and harder for everyone else. That's the line. Once a big reaches that level, everything changes. It stops being about potential. It becomes pressure. You don't game plan for him like a highlight reel. You prepare for him like weather. Detroit hasn't had that kind of presence in years. Now, when Duren plays, opponents feel that slow frustration creep in. We rotated, we contested, so why is this still happening? That's the point. He's not chasing a brand. He's building an identity. From Memphis to Detroit, the message has stayed the same. He doesn't need flash to dominate. He needs the floor, the ball, and the will to make every possession feel expensive. There's always a moment when the noise fades for a young player, when it stops being he could be good and turns into he's already doing it. For Duren, that moment didn't come from a viral clip. It came in Mexico City against the Dallas Mavericks. 33 points, career high, paint locked down like it was invite only. That wasn't luck. That wasn't heat check basketball. That was control built on power, timing, and nonstop pressure. No gimmicks, no isolation spam. Just a young big deciding the rim belonged to him. And what mattered wasn't the stat line. It was what it said about his growth. When a center can dominate without calling for touches every set, it means he's attacking systems, not just defenders. People throw rim runner around like it's an insult, but there's a difference. A rim runner moves. A rim threat bends the floor. Duren is becoming the ladder everyone has to climb. Weak side help shows early. Corner shooters breathe easier. Cade doesn't need perfect lanes because the advantage is already waiting behind the screen.
He's been one of the top prospects since he was a freshman in high school, but the motor hasn't always lived up to it. So sometimes the production, or at least the consistency of it, doesn't impress as much as his potential does. If he ever gets to the point where he's an everyday guy, his game's gonna go to the next level. He's been one of the top prospects since he was a freshman in high school, but the motor hasn't always lived up to it. So sometimes the production, or at least the consistency of it, doesn't impress as much as his potential does. If he ever gets to the point where he's an everyday guy, his game's gonna go to the next level.
That's where Duren's story and Detroit's story collide. The Pistons don't need him polished. They need him inevitable. Turning good defense into nice try. Over and over. 4 quarters straight. You can talk yourself into surviving finesse. You can't fake your way through pressure that never lets up. By the 4th quarter, legs lie to you. That's when Duren takes over. Every offensive rebound feels personal. Every putback feels like a message. Every dunk after a missed rotation says the same thing loud and clear. You can't guard everything, and Detroit knows exactly what you'll give up. And the scary part is this: it's sustainable. Most breakout runs in today's league burn hot and fade fast, built on streaky shooting, friendly whistles, or the perfect matchup. Jalen Duren's game doesn't lean on any of that. His impact comes from habits that travel, screens that free teammates, rolls that collapse defenses, rebounds that create second chances, and finishes that don't care who's standing in the way. He doesn't need to be flawless to ruin your night. He just needs to keep showing up strong, sharp, and on time. That's the line where something shifts. When a 22-year-old big starts winning possessions the way veterans do, when teams adjust just because he's on the floor, potential quietly turns into presence. That's when the league stops debating what he could be and starts feeling what it costs to play against him. What makes Jalen Duren's rise hit different isn't that Detroit finally found a young big who can dunk through traffic and clean the glass. Teams stumble into players like that every year. The real reason this matters is who he's paired with and how that pairing bends the game in real time. Cade Cunningham doesn't play fast. He plays deliberate. He's the kind of storm that builds slowly, steady, unbothered, always in control. He pulls defenders into uncomfortable decisions and waits for them to blink first. And when you put Duren next to that kind of floor general, the pick and roll stops being a play and turns into a problem that hangs over every possession. Because now defenses aren't guarding a screen, they're guarding a chain reaction. Stay home on Cade, and he settles into rhythm, smooth and surgical, picking apart reads until someone slips. Show help for even half a second, and Duren becomes falling weight, already above the rim. He doesn't need space to create. He needs one step, one hesitation, one late rotation. After that, it's a dunk, a foul, or a rebound that drains the room. The cruel part is how it messes with defensive instincts. Normally, teams live by a rule: contain the ball, then recover. Simple. Against Cade and Duren, recovery turns into a gamble you usually lose. That extra shuffle toward Cade, the one defenders take out of habit, is the same step that makes them late on Duren. And when you're late, you're not contesting him. You're meeting him in the air, which is like walking into an argument you already lost. So teams start overcorrecting, they rotate early, they sink a wing into the paint before the pass even comes. They try to protect the rim before it's under attack. And the moment they do that, Detroit shooters breathe. The floor opens. The defense scrambles back out like it touched a live wire. It's not just that Duren scores, it's the choices he forces. Every rotation becomes a risk. Every help decision feels wrong. He turns defense into a guessing game, and whichever way you lean, he punishes it with offensive rebounds, second chances, and finishes that feel unfair because you thought you did everything right. That's what people miss when they call him a rim runner. That label only fits if your value depends entirely on someone else finding you. Duren creates his own chances, even when the play breaks down. Cade gets pushed into a tough jumper. The ball hits iron. Duren is already there, turning a miss into 2 points and erasing 20 seconds of perfect defense. He turns chaos into control, effort into scoreboard swings. Playing against him feels like trying to carry water in your hands. You can do everything right until the very end, and it still slips through. That's what breaks teams. You rotate, you contest, you box out, and the score still moves the wrong way. That's why Duren's rise isn't really about development. It's about leverage. He's becoming the kind of player who makes a star guard's life easier without stealing the spotlight. His impact isn't loud, it's gravitational. Defenses bend around him even when he doesn't touch the ball. His power comes from timing, position, and effort that doesn't quit. And once that gravity becomes reliable, once teams realize they can't scheme it away, it stops being a young core story and starts being a real problem. The league is full of talent. Not everyone creates pressure. The Cade and Duren combo creates pressure. You feel it even when it doesn't show up in highlights. You see it in defenders rotating earlier than they want to, boxing out harder than they plan to, and fading late in the fourth quarter. It's pressure that doesn't announce itself. It just keeps showing up until the game's over and you're left wondering how it slipped away. Every young big eventually runs into the same invisible wall, not a shot blocker, but a playoff wall. That's when the game slows down and turns into chess. Every roll gets tagged, every rebound gets contested, every lob window shrinks. And the real question for Duren is simple and brutal. When the easy stuff disappears, what's left? That's the next test waiting for him. Not whether he can dunk or rebound. That part is settled. It's whether he can stay just as effective when teams spend an entire week trying to erase his comfort zone.
Jalen Duren's swing skill is his motor. When he goes to dunk the ball, he rips the rim off. He can run the floor. He's exceptionally long. He does just about everything from a physical standpoint.
Connection in our bond as a coach and player, be in terms of weight, strength, athleticism, flexibility, and all those things. I think I'm in great shape, probably the best shape of my career.
The good news is he doesn't need to reinvent himself as a three-point shooting stretch big to level up. He needs a few sharp tools that punish overcommitment. The first one isn't flashy, but it matters: free throws. Playoff defenses are ruthless. If they smell a weakness, they attack it. They foul, they grab, they make you earn it. He doesn't need to be automatic, just steady enough to make that trade too expensive. The second upgrade lives in the short roll, that pocket of space after the screen where chaos starts. Catch, 2 steps, read. Finish, kick, or drop it off. When a big learns to punish traps there, the entire offense opens. If Duren masters that, trapping Cade stops being smart and starts being reckless. The last upgrade is the hardest: defensive consistency. He has the tools, the power, the bounce, the awareness. What separates great centers isn't highlight blocks. It's reliability, knowing when to contest and when to stay down, protecting space without chasing glory, staying on the floor. The NBA is brutal to young bigs. Every scheme targets them. One bad read can flip a quarter. The elite ones learn discipline. They control the paint without gifting points. And that's why Duren's ceiling isn't solid starter. It's foundation. The kind of center who anchors both ends, who makes offense cleaner and defense heavier just by being there. His core skills already translate: screens, rim pressure, second chances, finishing through contact. Those never lose value. If he tightens those final details, the pressure teams feel now becomes something worse, a system they can't solve. Because once composure matches force, it stops being about defending him and turns into enduring him. That's the real arc of Jalen Duren's story. He doesn't need to change who he is, he just needs to refine it. He's already built on the parts of the game that matter most: contact, effort, consistency. That's the formula. Jalen Duren turns missed shots into new possessions, contact into points, and fatigue into opportunity. And if Detroit's rise is real, if Cade Cunningham is the mind steering it, then Duren is the heartbeat powering it. Quiet, focused, relentless. The kind of player who doesn't need to talk about dominance because everyone guarding him already feels it. This is the stage right before a player fully breaks into the league's spotlight. The production keeps climbing. The impact gets harder to ignore, yet the conversation still lags behind. People explain Detroit's progress as vibes, Cade maturing, or the roster finally fitting. And somewhere in that mix, Duren gets treated like a side note, just a solid big who finishes plays and cleans up messes. That's the quiet disrespect baked into how the modern NBA talks about centers who don't live behind the arc. In today's league, if you're not shooting threes, you have to dominate loud enough that no one can pretend it's not happening. Duren is starting to do that, not with flash, but with inevitability. You can see it in body language. Opponents don't just run sets, they hesitate. Guards pull up early, wings second-guess cuts, bigs crash the glass harder than they want to because they already know what happens when they don't. That impact doesn't live in box scores. It lives in hesitation, in broken rhythm, in possessions that feel heavier than they should. And this isn't just about Detroit, it's about the league cycle. The NBA always swings back. It stretches the floor, then rediscovers that pressure at the rim still decides playoff series. Rebounds still matter. Second chances still break confidence. Physicality still travels. That's what Duren represents. You can't spreadsheet your way out of contact. You can't analytics your way out of toughness. Every contender eventually has to answer the same question the hard way. Can you handle this for 48 minutes? Duren is becoming the kind of player front offices whisper about after a tough loss, the one who makes them rethink roster balance. The moment a young big starts bending games with presence, not just stats, the league pays attention, even if it doesn't say it out loud. Detroit with Cade is already uncomfortable. Cade controls pace, plays chess, waits for mistakes. Add Duren, and now it's physical too. Not just chess where every bad move costs you 2 points and a sore rib. That's the difference between a young team and a matchup you'd rather avoid late in the season. Detroit finally has something that travels. A creator who slows the game and a big who punishes every crack in your defense. No hot shooting required, no luck needed. The simplest way to explain Duren's rise is this. He's turning effort into inevitability. Plenty of young bigs play hard. Very few apply pressure that doesn't fade. That reshapes how opponents play. If he keeps stacking seasons like this, tightening the small details that turn strength into control, the paint stops being an area you attack. It becomes a problem you can't scheme away. And that's when everything changes. Because then it's no longer about Detroit having a nice piece. It's about Detroit having an identity.